Hello my YouTube following, I hope you're all doing fine. I apologise in advance if this video is rather long, just a heads up on that. I just wanted to share another passion of mine with you, aside from my drumming, which is my tattoos. I can imagine, having watched some of my drum covers, you've noticed I've got a few tattoos on my left arm. But given the angle I shoot my drum covers at, those are probably the only ones you can actually see. However, I have considerably more on my body, so I thought I'd just share the rest of them with you, show you some pictures of them and explain to you what they're all about. So that's what I'm going to do. So the very first one I got was when I was 18. I had no comprehension of what I was doing at this point. I went to an amateur tattooist and got this one right here. As you can see, a couple of washed out dragons with the deformed yin yang symbol. Absolute fucking piece of shit. This one would eventually get covered up with something else, which I will show you a bit later on. The second one I got shortly afterwards. It was this Sigur Rós design. I was quite into the band at the time, and so I decided to get this logo tattooed on my left arm. A very kind of simplistic linear design, but I thought it was pretty cool. This one would actually be enhanced. Unfortunately, I cannot find any photos of what it actually became. I can only tell you what it actually looked like, which was actually based on a painting I'd done, a surreal composition with like planets in the background and a kind of unusual eye with some Japanese waves in the foreground. So it was pretty cool, but this one in fact would eventually get covered up as well further along the line. I've also got this one down on my lower back. I call it the Kiwi Kit. As I've said in my previous videos, I eventually had to sell my beautiful Tama Swing Star, and at that point in time I didn't think I actually had the resources to continue my drumming, so this piece was kind of like a reminder of my drumming days, I guess you could say. Pretty basic, in no way resembling the extensive size of my Tama Swing Star, but yeah, far more simplified, but nonetheless it's kind of like a representation of my drumming. I've got this scorpion tattooed on my back, at the top of my neck here. There isn't a great deal of significance behind this one. I designed it myself. I quite like the kind of segmented sort of design to it. The only real kind of meaning behind this one is the fact I'm a Scorpio, and I also kind of like scorpions anyway. They're pretty kind of badass kind of creatures. That's pretty much the extent to this particular tattoo. Then on the back of my right shoulder I have a tribal design, and again with the scorpion, this one really has no significance at all, to be honest, apart from the fact I think it's a rather cool design. It was initially a solid black, but I decided to have it kind of like shaded instead to give it more kind of like dynamic kind of look to it, but that's really kind of the extent of it. On my forearm I have these 3 lines which was not done by a professional tattooist. These lines represent myself and my 2 younger brothers, Mark and Callum. This one was actually done by both of them together with a sterilized needle and India ink. I wouldn't go to a professional tattooist to get this one enhanced because it's a homemade tattoo, and given the meaning behind it, that's the way it should be. So I've just kept it the way it is. But yeah, it's very meaningful to me. I love my brothers so very much. We've never had any disputes of any kind at all, to be honest. So yeah, that's a good one. As I explained, I think it was in my cover of Magdalena by A Perfect Circle, I have been very much influenced by the band. They were one of the first bands that kind of got me into the music I'm listening to today, so they're a very influential band of mine. So I've got the Murdergnomes logo tattooed on my left ribs. This one was very, very painful. Ribs are like one of the most painful areas of the body to get tattooed. I couldn't even have the full A Perfect Circle tattooed through the design because it was just too much to cope with, so I shortened it to APC. But nonetheless, I do love this one very much, considering they were the first band that really got me into music. And having said that, what with Maynard James Keenan being the lead singer of A Perfect Circle and also the lead singer of Tool, I decided to get Tool's 10,000 Days logo tattooed on my right ribs. And this one was absolutely excruciatingly painful. I could only have so much of it done in one session, and I think I waited like the best part of a year to get it finished because, oh my god, it literally just felt like having a jigsaw blade just dug into my fucking skin. It was just really fucking nasty. But yeah, I'm really pleased with the overall result. It's a beautiful tattoo, and having both A Perfect Circle and Tool tattooed on my body now, I think that's really cool, representing the 2 bands that really got me into music and having them both there. On my left inner bicep, I have Billy the Puppet from the Saw franchise. Saw franchise is probably one of my favourite movie franchises. I've never kind of really understood the appeal of the Saw movies to any fucking target audience, to be honest. Given how fucking brutal and gory they are. But yeah, for some reason I do very much enjoy the Saw movies. So I decided to get this little bastard tattooed on my arm with the iconic phrase "I want to play a game" incorporated into it. Yeah, so I very much love this one. On my left leg, I have tattooed Corey Taylor. He's one of my favourite musicians. Such an awesome dude. Really one of the coolest fucking guys on the planet. I chose this image very carefully because I wanted a very sort of clear depiction of him. As you can see, he's wearing his very first Slipknot mask, the Dreadlock Gall, and this particular mask has been probably my favourite of his. So yeah, I wanted a nice image of him wearing this particular mask, and this was another one which was incredibly painful to endure, but I'm glad I got it done anyway. I may actually have it enhanced a little bit at some point in the future because I've had it for a few years now, and it could maybe do with a little kind of touch up. But for the time being, it's pretty clear that it is the man himself. So yeah, I'm very pleased with this one. I do have two other portraits, one of which is on my right, the back of my right forearm, and this one again is music related. This is Mike Portnoy, the ex-drummer of Dream Theater. I don't think I necessarily chose the best image of him for a portrait. I don't think it really kind of depicts him as well as it could have, to be honest, but it is in fact Mike Portnoy, and as you can see, I've got the Dream Theater logo just tattooed above the portrait, and then on my left arm, the back of my left arm, I have the other side of the spectrum in terms of my passions in life. So music on one side and art on the other. So I have my favourite artist tattooed on my left arm, who is Salvador Dali. Absolute masterclass at surrealism, and that's my favourite kind of like form of art. I've been very influenced by his paintings, and I think they're absolutely phenomenally beautiful and intricate, and just the amount of time and effort he went into with his compositions is just insane. The detail he went into with some of his paintings was just absolutely amazing. So yeah, I decided to get a Dali tattooed on my left arm, and it's a lovely depiction of him. I'm very pleased with this one. As I've previously mentioned in some other videos of mine, my first band was called Embryo, and although we didn't go too far, we weren't that disciplined in what we did, we still had a great time making music together. And although eventually breaking up, I designed this logo myself, predominantly just as like a nostalgic piece, I guess you could say, as a reminder of those days I had with the band making music. So it's it's very much of a sort of nostalgic piece, this one, and yeah, I'm quite pleased with it. It's a nice reminder of those days I had with my friends and my brother Mark. He was the guitarist. On my left and right forearms, I have what are called trash polka tattoos. This was a kind of style that I believe was derived from Germany, I think it was, and it kind of consists of like abstract kind of shapes and lines and very kind of like haphazard sort of like type design, but I really very much like it actually, and very minimal colour as well, usually just reds or blue along with black. So on my left I have Dream State of the Mind, and this is kind of based on my sort of like unusual imagination. I've got quite an unusual imagination when it comes to my creativity, and yeah, that's pretty much kind of what this one sort of like represents. I'm quite pleased with that one. And then on my right arm, I have do not feel hindered in the same trash polka kind of style. And this one is very symbolic to me because it's a representation of my disability. Firstly, being on my right arm, and the meaning itself is kind of pretty self-explanatory, to be honest. It's a like personal reminder to myself as to not being kind of like held back from opportunities or not feeling discouraged in any way to do anything or try new things, just make the most of life and whatnot. I actually explained this one in my drum cover of Crawling Through Knives by In Flames. This one here is again relative to my disability and is in the same kind of trash polka style as the other two. The hourglass obviously represents time, and the numbers here, 12 plus 3 equals 15, and I was 15 months old between 1987 and 1988. So that's kind of like the meaning behind the numbers here. Sounds like a sort of encrypted message, so to speak. And I think it works really well along with the do not feel hindered, especially being on my right arm. It's a very meaningful and personal overall kind of composition based on my disability. So yeah, I was very pleased with this one, having both of these kind of like put together. It's a very, very meaningful and personal tattoo of mine, and I very much like it. On my left forearm, I have tattooed Carpe Diem, which in Latin means seize the day, and I got this when I went on a 6-month conservation gap project to Australia, and this was my first like independent trip, going to the other side of the world all by myself, and this was like a testament to my independence and self-sufficiency. So this tattoo most definitely kind of like is a solid kind of representation of that, and means a hell of a lot to me, this one. And on top of that, it's just a consistent reminder of just like making the best of each day and being as productive as possible. So yeah, I'm very glad I got this one tattooed on me, and yeah, it really means a lot. Yeah, so I've got a few others on my left arm. Something you probably don't know about me is I'm also into writing. I've written 2 novels, 2 full-length novels so far, both of which are psychological thrillers. The first of which is called Broken Wings, and my fiancée Lizzie was she was the inspiration behind the protagonist character Sienna. Yeah, so I've got her tattooed on the top of my left arm, or the embodiment of her as Sienna, I guess you could say. And the quote on my shoulder, Sienna finds her solace, is relative to that first novel. It's a very kind of complicated and dynamic storyline, so trying to explain it would be pretty difficult, to be honest. I think you'd have to physically read the novel in order to understand it properly. Yeah, and then underneath I have tattooed the front cover with the silhouetted trees and the red sky with the moon. Yeah, so that's the one that covered up the surreal composition with the Sigur Rós logo. And then underneath that one I've got tattooed Omerta, which is the subtitle of the sequel to Broken Wings. Yeah, so the first one is called Broken Wings, and then the second is Broken Wings Omerta. So again, it's another very complicated storyline, but a continuity of the first one. So yeah, it's quite interesting, kind of like having this composition of like my artwork that I created for my novels, just composed on my arm as a like half sleeve, almost, I guess you could say. Yeah, and I'm actually in the midst of writing my third novel, called Tainted Hemispheres. Again, this is another psychological thriller, really twisted and fucked up storyline. Another one of which is very difficult and complicated to explain, but I'm really enjoying myself writing this one. And then on my left wrist I have tattooed a phoenix with a Japanese sun behind it. This one was absolute fucking agony. I didn't realise how painful the wrist was to get tattooed. But the skin on the wrist is quite thin and very tender. One of the wings of the phoenix is kind of like not as prominent as the other. My skin actually tore while my tattooist was doing the design, and kind of bled, so there's actually a scar there. But considering phoenixes kind of like burst into flames and then are kind of like reborn, I guess that was like a happy accident in a way. And this one is very, very kind of symbolic to me. At the time I was going through a very, very depressive state, and I literally felt like I just hit rock bottom in life. Not the best of times at all, to be honest. And then I met my fiancée Lizzie, and my life just became a hell of a lot better after meeting her. And yeah, we've been together for 5 years now, so this piece is almost like a metaphor of resurrection, I guess you could say. Like my resurrection of life, just becoming so much more vibrant and productive, healthy, so yeah, I very much love this one. And incidentally, Lizzie has beautiful red hair as well, regardless of the fact that the phoenix is actually a silhouette. But yeah, this one is very, very meaningful to me. And on the back of my left arm, I have actually, you've probably seen this before. I used this, I designed this raven myself and used it as the artwork for my band's song Resurrection. But it had a far more in-depth meaning to it even before Dream State Illusion was formed in the first place. I drew this picture which I named Suppression, and this was shortly after my dad committed suicide. in 2014. So yeah, the shroud over the raven's face is like a metaphorical depiction of both he and I suppressing the memory of like his downward spiral, psychological downward spiral. So I have this one tattooed on the back of my arm. I might actually get this one further enhanced because the lines have like faded quite a bit, but yeah, this one was quite important to me to get tattooed, just as a reminder of my dad, because he was the one that got me into playing drums in the first place and was a very influential role model to me still. Yeah, and that one's very important and symbolic to me. On my left and right forearms I also have my daughter's birth tattoos, Phoebe and Naomi, with their star signs, Aquarius and Sagittarius, with their birthdays underneath. Absolutely love my girls to bits. They are beautiful, talented and intuitive little people, absolutely fantastic. So these tattoos mean very much to me as well. Let's see if there's anything I've missed out. Oh yeah, and the one that covered up the very first tattoo I had, that piece of shit on my right arm, was this one right here. The dragon with the lotus flower. It's you know, if I'd discovered trash polka before I even had my first tattoo, I would probably have you know, a continuity of like trash polka designs throughout my body. But yeah, I mean, this one is cool. I love dragons, you know, and it's covered up that piece of shit very nicely. So yeah, I'm kind of overall pleased with it, and I've had some nice comments about it from various people. So yeah, it is what it is. I do have another appointment. Well, actually it was at the beginning of the year, which was actually cancelled due to lockdown, but I've got another appointment in March. I'm not going to tell you what this one is, but I'm kind of looking forward to this one. It's going to be very badass once it's finished. I'm running out of space in my body, so it's going to go underneath the tribal design on my right shoulder blade. But yeah, this one's going to be pretty fucking cool once it's finished, and I will show you a picture of it once it's done and healed up. So yeah, I think that's me, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and please leave any likes and comments. Let me know if there's any particular tattoos of mine which you like, and thanks for watching, guys.